Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a truly fascinating and honestly kind of chilling phenomenon: how the idealistic, purely intentioned spark of a revolution gets systematically co-opted. We're going to use George Orwell's timeless text Animal Farm as our exact guide. We'll look directly at the early days of this famous farm to see exactly how power shifts, how rules get bent, and how a dream of total equality starts to crack right from the very beginning.
It's pretty much the ultimate question of human history, right? And it is perfectly mirrored here in Orwell's Animal Kingdom. How exactly does a utopian dream transform into a dictatorship? How do individuals who pledge to overthrow their oppressors slowly become the exact thing they fought against? Okay, let's dive into this and start right at the beginning at Manor Farm under the drunken and totally negligent rule of Mr. Jones.
So the revolution actually begins not with a weapon, but with an idea. It's delivered by Old Major, this prize middle white boar. He gathers all the animals in the barn and delivers just an incredibly persuasive speech. He unites them by doing what pretty much all great revolutionary leaders do throughout history. He identifies a single absolute villain to blame for all their misery. He declares, man is the only real enemy we have. It's brilliant rhetoric. By removing all the nuance and laying all the farm's problems, hunger, overwork, early death, right at the feet of humanity, Old Major unites a completely diverse group of animals under one common, unshakable purpose.
And Old Major's dream culminates in this wildly catchy song, Beasts of England. The lyrics of this intoxicating anthem paint a euphoric vision of a golden future. We're talking a future where harnesses are broken, whips don't crack anymore, and there's more wheat, barley, oats, and hay than they could ever possibly imagine. This song throws the animals into the absolute wildest excitement. It gives them a shared identity and a unified vision of a world without humans. It's literally the emotional fuel that's going to power everything that follows. Well, after Old Major passes away, the intellectual heavy lifting of turning his dream into a real system, which they call animalism, falls to the pigs, specifically two young boars, Snowball and Napoleon. And right from the jump, their distinct leadership styles are explicitly contrasted. Snowball is vivacious. He's a brilliant talker, very inventive. Napoleon, on the other hand, he's large, fierce-looking, not much of a talker, but he has a very specific reputation for getting his own way. So even in these early idealistic days, the seeds of future conflict are firmly planted in their contrasting personalities. Now, what's really wild is that when the rebellion actually happens, it isn't some grand, pre-planned military strike. Not at all. It's a spontaneous explosion of desperation. Just look at how rapidly this whole thing unfolds. It's Midsummer's Eve. Mr. Jones goes into town and gets completely drunk. Sunday comes and his men go out rabbiting without feeding the animals. By evening, the animals are starving. Finally, a cow simply breaks down the store shed door to get food. When Jones and his men wake up and start whipping the hungry animals, something snaps. The animals just fling themselves at their tormentors. It is a pure, uncoordinated reaction to intense physical hunger, and within minutes, Jones is expelled. The farm is theirs.
In the euphoric aftermath of all this, the pigs codify Old Major's teachings into the 7 commandments of animalism. Now, these rules are entirely reactionary. They're specifically designed to prevent the animals from ever adopting the oppressive vices of Mr. Jones. No clothes, no beds, no alcohol, no killing, and the absolute ultimate equalizer: all animals are equal. They are drawing a massive, unmistakable line in the sand here between animal purity and human corruption. And this brilliantly illustrates how serious they were about these rules. Snowball and Squealer physically paint these commandments in great white letters on the tarred end wall of the big barn. The text tells us these were meant to form an unalterable law by which all the animals must live forever after. It's written in stone, or actually, scratch that, painted on a wall, for all to see. It's the permanent contract of their new utopian society, which honestly makes what happens next incredibly ironic. Because right away, we hit our very first roadblock. Before they even head out for their very first harvest, the cows are milked, producing 5 whole buckets of frothing, creamy milk. Naturally, the animals ask what's going to happen to it. Napoleon just steps in front of the buckets and says, "Never mind the milk, comrades, that will be attended to." Well, when the animals return from the fields that evening, the milk has mysteriously vanished. Poof, gone. It is the very first incredibly subtle red flag of the new regime, and it happens on day 1 of their freedom. But that missing milk is pretty quickly forgotten because the farm enters this glorious honeymoon phase. The animals toil and sweat, sure, but they finish the hay harvest in 2 days less time than Jones ever did. And it's the biggest harvest the farm has literally ever seen. Every single mouthful of food is an acute, positive pleasure because they produced it for themselves. There's no grumbling, no stealing, no human master taking the fruits of their labor. The utopian dream actually seems to be working perfectly. The absolute backbone of this early success? That would be Boxer, the enormous cart horse. His answer to absolutely every problem, every setback, is his personal motto: I will work harder. Boxer represents the earnest, trusting, and heavily burdened working class of this new society. I mean, he literally makes an arrangement with a cockerel to wake him up half an hour early just to do volunteer labor. He isn't the smartest animal, but his immense physical strength and blind dedication are what actually keep the whole shebang running. However, a very practical problem arises. The stupider animals, like the sheep, hens, and ducks, they simply cannot memorize the 7 commandments. It's too complex. So Snowball brilliantly, but dangerously, reduces the entire legal code into a single, easily chanted maxim: 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. It's great because it allows everyone to participate, especially the sheep, who just love to bleat it for hours on end. But here's the catch. By oversimplifying the law, they lose the nuance. They basically trade careful thought for a catchy, mindless slogan.
So while everyone is busy celebrating the harvest, the foundation for inequality is quietly being laid. We're talking some glaring early warning signs here. First off, the pigs don't actually do any physical work. They merely direct and supervise. Second, Snowball and Napoleon are already fracturing the leadership, disagreeing on absolutely every single point. Third, Napoleon secretly takes 9 newborn puppies away from their mothers to an isolated loft for education. And finally, that missing milk? Yeah, it's discovered being mixed directly into the pig's daily mash.
Naturally, the other animals start to murmur about the pigs taking the milk, and now all the fallen apples too. Squealer is sent out to explain. Now, what's really interesting about this step-by-step playbook is seeing Squealer execute an absolute masterclass in gaslighting. Step 1, he feigns sacrifice. He claims the pigs actually hate milk and apples. Step 2, he invents science, claiming it is a proven fact that pigs need these foods as brain workers to manage the farm. And step 3, his absolute trump card, fear. He warns them, surely you don't want Jones to come back. Orwell describes Squealer skipping from side to side and whisking his tail almost pleadingly as he delivers this manipulation. It's utterly absurd, but man, is it incredibly effective. The animals are absolutely terrified of Jones returning. When Squealer frames the pigs getting all the apples and milk as the literal only thing keeping the human masters away, the animals have no more to say. They completely surrender their claim to the windfall apples through sheer psychological manipulation. Meanwhile, the rebellion refuses to just stay contained to one farm. The idea is spreading like wildfire. Snowball and Napoleon send out flights of pigeons to neighboring farms, teaching the animals the story of the rebellion and the tune of Beasts of England. A massive wave of rebelliousness sweeps the county. Bulls turn savage, sheep break hedges, and the human farmers are thrown into a secret, trembling panic. They pretend the song is ridiculous, but deep down they absolutely hear the prophecy of their own future doom. So, Animal Farm has survived its birth, expelled its oppressors, and begun to inspire the world. But right within its own borders, a new elite is already forming, which leaves us with a pretty chilling thought to end our explainer today. If the pigs can successfully use fake science and the fear of an old enemy to rewrite the unalterable rules just to secure some milk and apples, what in the world will they justify taking next? The mechanics of a dictatorship are already in motion. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the rules painted on the wall.